Hi guys, so recently I've been thinking quite a bit about the action of binging on media, for example a television, film or gaming series, and the effect that may have on your overall enjoyment or appreciation of the content that you're consuming. Binging with regards to the media has become a very popular manner in which to consume content, almost the norm some may argue. A lot has been said about binging over the past few years and not all of it necessarily has been that good. Some have claimed that not only does binging on media have potential negative effects for your physical and mental health, but it is also not exactly the best way in which to consume media due to the fact that the limited wait periods between consumption doesn't allow you to fully process all of the information witnessed. Proponents of this viewpoint have also suggested that you are more likely to get bored with a particular series, TV or otherwise, if you consume it too quickly. Those who completely dispute this argument suggest that binging is actually the optimal manner in which to consume content, as in that way information remains fresh in one's mind, and it's also a good manner in which to relieve stress, as it gives one a limited controlled period in which to escape from the realities of daily life. It is suggested that people enjoy binging because it gives them control over the situation. You ultimately determine how much time you will spend consuming content, and most importantly, when you will do it. So does binging have a positive or negative effect on your overall enjoyment of the content you're consuming? And what about the other negative effects of binging? Are they really something to be worried about? Well, to answer these questions, I basically decided to look at the 3 stories or incidents that actually made me think about binging on media in the first place. The first story focuses a little bit on how important control actually is to a person. So a few weeks ago, I binged watched a TV series from season 1 to the last aired episode of season 5. This was probably the first time in about a year that I'd actually binged watched something. The reason as to why I chose to watch these series as quickly as I did was that firstly, all the episodes were already available, and then secondly, I didn't really know when I would have enough time to watch this TV series again. Some people may argue that watching an episode every day instead of 7 at a time may produce the same outcome. However, I don't really know if I have the time to go and sit there each and every night and watch a single episode. The reason for this is that I tend to have an irregular daily schedule, something which most people have. Throughout my very short professional career, I've worked in project-based industries, in which situations where one worked a 15-hour day and situations where one worked a 5-hour day were both apparent. Guess which one appears more often? Then in one's personal life, there are also events which one would choose to attend or partake in a heartbeat over watching some TV series or playing some video game. Everybody lives irregular lives, which sometimes makes committing to a regular schedule impossible. And this is why I totally agree that one of the most appealing aspects of binge consumption of media is control. You get to decide when you engage in something and for how long. And that is a positive for most people. So the second incident in my life that made me really think about binge consumption of media focuses on whether you actually need time to decide whether something you've watched or played is good or bad. Now I'll first focus on the argument suggesting that sometimes that you do need a break from consuming certain media in order to decide whether you feel that it's good or not. Quite a while ago, I was out with a few friends, and in a conversation I had stated that I'd binge played the Witcher series last year, and that it wasn't the first time that I had done this with a video game series. The other notable example that I had pulled up in this conversation was the Assassin's Creed series, to which some of my friends were rather surprised. They argued that doing this must have been rather akin to playing the same game for months on end, except with periodic graphical upgrades. Let's first get this straight. I did play the first Assassin's Creed when it came out, but I didn't return to the series until 2014, when basically I bought every other title released in the main series up to that point, except for Rogue. The funny thing was that I did actually start getting tired of the series by the time I was halfway through Revelations, but I couldn't really understand why the game was starting to annoy me. I still bought Unity that year and finished it and maintained for some time that had it not been a broken game, that it would probably have still been a game people would have purchased on sale or wanted to purchase on sale. It was only after I had bought bought and finished Syndicate at the end of 2015 after a year and a bit away from playing the series that I really begun noticing the problem that I wasn't really able to put a finger on when I had been playing Revelations. The fact that the game had chosen quantity over quality in terms of content, and that most innovations within the game were somewhat superficial. To be entirely honest with you, I don't think I would have bought another Assassin's Creed game had I played Assassin's Creed 2 and then Brotherhood the next year. But the fact that I was playing them one after the other, and that Xbox Live had a huge Ubisoft sale at the time when I bought all of them at once, I'll say that having all of them at once kind of blinded my ability to make an accurate appraisal of the series. So I don't really know if a lot of people feel this way in terms of media, where maybe you've got quite a few seasons of a TV series or a few video games in a series that you paid for, and then you feel compelled or the need to finish them. I've often felt this way, and it's often skewed my appraisal of a series. This is something that has happened to me quite a few times in the past. Assassin's Creed definitely wasn't the first time that this happened to me after binging on some type of media. There have been several TV series that I have watched, caught up on, and then recommended to my friends, only to find out after watching the first 2 episodes of the new season after a break away from the series that in actual fact the whole story was a whole bunch of trash. It wasn't worth my time, and then I kind of feel like an idiot for recommending it to my friends who must have thought immediately after watching this, how can I even trust this person's opinion? In some of these cases, I have understood the notion of why waiting may be better, as sometimes immediate availability of the next episode or the sequel title creates an obsessive desire to complete the story or to know what happens next. That totally clouds our judgment on whether what we are consuming is actually quality content. You're so quick to want to play the next one because you know it's already there, than actually focusing on what you're currently watching or playing. Well, at least that's been my experience. So now the third story or incident within my life that made me focus on binge consumption of media argues the opposite point. Basically that creating a wait period between television episodes, for example, is rather harmful to the perception of the television show in this particular example. So basically a few days ago I came across a discussion on YouTube in which it was suggested that the 4th episode of every Telltale series game ever released is rather lackluster, as it often focuses on scene building more than anything else. The argument suggested that although scene building is required in order to craft a good overall narrative within a game, the breaks in between episode releases makes the idea that you're actually doing very little on the particular episode more apparent. Whereas if you played all 5 episodes immediately after each other without the waiting period, this wouldn't be as apparent. I entirely agree with this idea. I do find that people quite simply do not remember all of the details of serials they may be watching, playing, reading on a week-to-week or month-to-month basis. This is not due to a limited attention span, but rather that in that interim period between releases, you have a whole load of shit to do, such as live your life. Therefore, sometimes you forget some important but small or short details in the story you're consuming. At times, this could even mean you misinterpreting something that takes place within the series because of a forgotten detail, and suggesting that the action was random or bad writing, whereas it was actually planned well in advance. Sometimes there are boring periods within a TV series, game, or movie that do need to be there to help build and create a more balanced and compelling narrative. For example, a lot of people say that the first episode of each new Game of Thrones season is the most disappointing because it largely focuses on creating the storylines for the new season as opposed to actually dealing with the aftermath of the events of the previous season's finale, which the second episode often really digs into. I'm sure that if viewers were able to watch the second episode right after the first episode wouldn't get labeled boring as often as it does. But again, then what do I know? Then finally, I thought I would touch a little bit on this question of whether binging is actually bad for your health. Research in the area of binging on media is still developing, as the concept of binge consumption is still relatively new in this area, so it is difficult for anybody to make concrete claims about whether binging is in fact bad for you. Some studies in this area have identified a correlation between binge watching TV series and depression, but no study has proven causation as of yet. Researchers have pointed out the fact that people who are depressed generally are somewhat antisocial, and binge watching can be an antisocial activity if one makes it that way. So such research may actually be highlighting the fact that binge watching TV series is an activity that depressed people like to engage in, as opposed to binge watching causes depression. With regards to the physical effects, it is important to remember that the action of watching television, playing video games, as well as reading a book promotes a less active lifestyle, because the action requires you to be seated in order to actually perform the activity. If regular workout sessions are part of your weekly routine, is binge consumption of media really all that bad for you if you spend maybe a day or two wholly focused on a sedentary activity each month? I don't know, maybe not. It doesn't seem that research has taken this possibility into account as of yet, but as research contributions in this area continue to grow, maybe we'll know soon. So should you be binging on media? There are both pros and cons to binging, but the answer to this question is rather simple. Do whatever works for you, man. If you don't like waiting for the next chapter in a story, wait until it's finished and then start your journey. However, if you like the hype that is built up waiting for content to be released periodically, then keep on consuming the content periodically. Ultimately, it is all up to you. So do you binge on TV series, films, or video games? Do you feel that binging is a better way in which to consume content? Please share in the comments down below. And if you liked this video, please remember to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.